It's often explained that the UK and US have a special relationship, stretching back many decades. It seems though that that relationship may soon be getting a tad more cozy, with the news that King Charles is going to try and offer associate membership of the Commonwealth to the United States soon. So in this video, we're going to take a look at whether the US could join the Commonwealth as an associate member, what the advantages of doing so would be, and ultimately, whether this could just be the first step towards full Commonwealth membership. Before we start, if you're interested in global alliances and groupings, like the Commonwealth, then you might like our poster, Every Global Alliance Explained, which shows, in slightly confusing detail, how every country interacts with each other. It's available using the link in the description, and for a limited time, you can get 20% off with code Commonwealth. Now, off the bat, we need to understand exactly what the Commonwealth actually is. Very simply, it's a free association of sovereign states, mainly those that have some historic connection to the UK. The roots of the organisation date back to 1931, when a group of British dominions, such as Canada, pushed for more self-autonomy. Many of them had been granted self-governance in the decades prior, but wanted to be seen as an equal to the United Kingdom. And the 1931 Westminster Declaration did exactly this, promising that they are indeed equal, albeit they are united by a common allegiance to the crown. This condition lasted just under 2 decades and was dropped in 1949, allowing members to join without swearing allegiance to the British monarch. In order to accommodate this, the British monarch, King George VI, inherited a new title, Head of the Commonwealth. No one was required to swear allegiance to him, and technically speaking, the head could come from any Commonwealth nation. So far though, there have only been 3 leaders, all of them British monarchs. All countries that are part of the Commonwealth agree to the Commonwealth Charter, which includes principles like democracy, the rule of law, and good governance. On occasions, countries are suspended from the organisation for breaching these, such as Nigeria, suspended in 1995 and readmitted in 1999, Zimbabwe, suspended in 2002 before withdrawing, and Gabon, suspended in 2023. The Commonwealth also plays an important role in making sure member states' elections are free and fair, and the Commonwealth Secretariat has observed 160 elections in 40 Commonwealth countries. Generally though, in the modern context, the organisation has virtually no power, with it acting more like a forum for discussion among like-minded nations. It's important to point out though that it does still have some small side perks, namely the Commonwealth Games and the Commonwealth Africa Investment Fund. While these might not be massive draws, the African Investment Fund doesn't particularly throw around massive sums of money, they are certainly sweeteners for those looking at joining. For others, the main draw is simply the symbolic value of the organisation. When they joined the Commonwealth, Togo's foreign minister said that membership tapped a, quote, craze for Englishness among his countrymen. Now, while this craze might not exist in the US, it does certainly seem true that the current US president has a certain affinity with the UK. So with that in mind, let's move on and take a look at the prospect of the US joining the Commonwealth and why it's been in the news lately. Now, this story ultimately began a few weeks ago when the Sun newspaper suggested the king might make a secret offer of associate membership of the Commonwealth at Trump's upcoming state visit. Responding to this article, Trump simply stated on Truth Social, "I love King Charles. Sounds good to me." This, though, isn't the first time that it's been reported that conversations were had, at high levels, about the US joining the Commonwealth in some form. Back in 2017, it was reported that the Royal Commonwealth Society opened a branch in the United States, reportedly with backing from the late Queen. The plan was for it to develop a connection between the US and UK, and one day invite the US to join the association as an associate member. To this end, the organisation had a letter written and passed on to Farage to hand to the president. Ultimately though, nothing came of this. But while this isn't the first time that some sort of membership has been floated, it is the first time that Trump has given a positive public reaction. So, will this actually happen? Well, firstly, it's worth pointing out that there's no such thing as an associate member of the Commonwealth. All 56 current members are fully fledged members. So exactly how associate membership would work is unclear at the moment. Perhaps the application process would be less rigorous than full membership. But even if this is the case, the expectation would be that the US would eventually join the organisation, which would certainly require them to jump through some hoops. To join the Commonwealth, it must first officially express interest and subject themselves to an informal assessment by the Secretary-General. If they're happy, then the formal application is extended to the country in question, where they're assessed against certain criteria, such as the functioning of democratic processes and popular support in the country for joining the Commonwealth. And generally speaking, countries need to have some sort of historic ties to an existing member, although this obviously wouldn't be an issue for the US. If successful, the application would then be considered at the next Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, which takes place every 2 years, at which the heads of state would need to reach a consensus for the applicant to join. Now, this could be tricky for the US for a few reasons. Firstly, it's possible that they wouldn't even get to this stage. As mentioned, one of the criteria is that there's popular support for the country joining, which the US just doesn't have. Now, admittedly, there isn't any reliable polling on this, and the only real indication we have is the reaction in the US following this story breaking, and, well, it wasn't ideal. There appears to still be the perception that the Commonwealth is, in some ways, still controlled by Britain. One of Trump's supporters replied to the idea on social media saying, "Mr. President, with all due respect, hell no." Another stated, "If we wanted to be part of England, we would not have elected you." So it's fair to say that popular support might still be a way off yet. Secondly, other member countries of the Commonwealth would probably veto the idea anyway. Many of the smaller nations like the Commonwealth because they're able to engage with larger countries in a way that they're not able to at other international organizations. This gives small countries like the Bahamas or Barbados the chance to speak to bigger countries like India and Australia about stuff like trade, debt, and climate change. So the US joining would certainly dilute this advantage. And thirdly, there's, well, the Trump factor. A number of countries might raise certain issues about the US's suitability to join the organization, particularly following Trump's threats towards Canada, a member of the Commonwealth, and Greenland, the recent imposition of tariffs, and the decision to withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord. So all in all, while Trump might like the idea, it's unlikely that the US will join anytime soon. Regardless, in 2025, one thing is certain. We can expect the news cycle to continue being dominated by these same major figures. But who's the most influential? Well, in the most recent edition of our magazine, Too Long, we find out. That's because this 72-page issue runs down our official ranking of the world's most influential people, a vote that saw the TLDR team and more than 15,000 of you casting ballots. In the magazine, you'll learn the entire ranking. Plus, we've written articles about all of the top 25, discussing how they wield their influence and how they interact with and shape our world, including Modi's struggles in South India, how Elon took over, Giorgia Meloni's battles with the Italian judiciary, and Trump's monumental comeback story. Also, if you want to dive even deeper, the premium edition of the magazine also gets you access to bonus videos. That includes the team debating their rankings of the top 25, with it getting pretty heated at times.
We could potentially have a monumental jump on our hands.
Yeah.
Hands up for leapfrogging into sixth.
The most powerful European country, the second biggest economy, the nuclear power that is... The nuclear power!
Yeah.
We also recorded the team reacting to the audience's ranking, so you can find out what they really think about your votes. It's not just about the most influential people though. Too Long also contains articles about the current state of the UK, the new right in Europe, and if peace can really hold in Gaza, along with a whole variety of other stories. Too Long truly is some of our very best journalism, with the audience consistently saying that previous issue vastly outstripped their expectations. So if you want a copy too, head over to toolong.news to pick one up. And if you never want to miss an issue, you can subscribe, which gets you a 20% discount on every issue as long as you stay a subscriber. Plus, just this week, if you use code INFLUENCE, you'll get an additional £3 off any subscription. Too Long helps to fund our journalism year-round and allows us to keep our YouTube videos free. So we really do appreciate your support.